Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I want to go through the This Might Help Oracle deck along beside of it with the This Might Hurt Tarot deck. They're supposed to like coincide. It's images taken from this tarot deck and put into an oracle deck, which I think is freaking genius. And I have modified the deck, but I'll show you that. Anyway, it comes in a very nice sturdy box with the magnetic, and then the box, this slides inside of it. So what I have here, it might be beautiful, it might be painful, it will probably be both. So, the creator is Isabella Rotman. I don't really know how to say that. She also created the This Might Hurt Tarot. Now, I will say this is the indie version because I got it when it came out as an indie deck. It is mass market now, so you can get this deck mass market. And this just came out mass market. I just received mine today, and I've been working on it. You get 78 cards featuring animals and objects from the tarot, delving deeper into their meanings and symbolisms. This insightful deck will help you analyze situations, observe personal reactions, and discover unconscious motives for your conscious actions. Use as clarifying cards in conjunction with a tarot deck or on their own. No matter where your journey of understanding takes you, this deck will help you find the way. So we've got This Might Hurt and This Might Help. I don't have the box for this because I keep it in a carrying case because it's one of my very favorites. And now let's take a look at the Oracle deck. It comes with a fairly good-sized This Might Help Oracle Guidebook. We'll take a look at it. When we get finished, we will pull a card and read. It looks like a very nice book. I'm excited. Now, the deck did not come like this. I'm going to tell you what I did. The backs do look like this. I did edge them because I needed to disassociate today, and that's what I do. So I edged mine in a yellow. And I also made little labels, which you'll understand in a minute. These little labels aren't on here with the tarot name. I kind of did that because some of them are obvious and some of them aren't. And I feel like that it will help me intuitively, so I don't have to look at the guidebook. And there will be times where I like to look at the guidebook. I think the guidebooks can be very, very helpful. So we have the Fool here, and then we have the dog. So you can tell it's the very same dog, which I think this is just a genius idea. So this would be a great clarifier for any of the cards because the dog is kind of trying to keep him from like walking over the edge. He's not paying any attention, so maybe this is sort of a warning. And I'm not going to talk about all the cards. I just wanted you to see how great they are. And here we have the Magician. And here we have the Magician's Wand. Now, I didn't put a label on this because it did say Magician. So we have the Magician's Wand, which is the candle. And here we have the High Priestess. And then we have the High Priestess veil, which is, you see the veil hanging in the back. Now, like I said, some of these are really obvious, but it's just something that I wanted to do to make it easier on myself. And here we have the Empress, number three. The Empress, you definitely would not have to have the keywords that I put on there. That was just more or less for myself. So we have the 12-star crown from the Empress, which would be the astrological symbols on her crown. And also we have a hand, which I think is pretty awesome. And we have the Emperor, and here we have the Emperor Ram. It's actually the Ram. I think these are going to be great clarifiers. We have the Hierophant here, and over here I put priest because that's what I usually call the Hierophant sometimes. But anyway, so we have the crossed keys, which would be right there. Opening doors. Here we have the Lovers, and then we have the bow of arrows, which would be up here. It'll be interesting. I have not read the guidebook to see what the guidebook says. Here we have the Chariot, and here we have the Steed. So you could interpret that several different ways. We have the beam of light coming from the motorcycle. And here we have Strength, and then we have the Garland. And here we have the Hermit with the Lantern, which I think is, again, I just really think this is great. The Wheel of Fortune, and here we have the snake that is wrapped up in the wheel. And it doesn't say wheel. It actually says the snake. I covered up the with the label. To each his own, I suppose. Here we have Justice with the battered sword. I did put the label up here so it wouldn't cover up battered. And we can tell that this is the Hanged Man over here. And I didn't do this one because it says death on it. But we have the Death card in the tarot, and then the Banner of Death. And I think this is really cool. The Temperance card. This may be one of my favorites. So here we have the Middle Path. And it is in this card. It is way back here. I see the little path. And I just love this. And then we have the Crown and the sun coming up. Okay, here we have the Devil, and we have the shackles here. Again, that's my sticker. It just says the shackles. So we have the Devil and we have the shackles. Here we have the Tower, and here we have Lightning Bolt. Here we have the Star card, and here we have the Ibises. I don't really know how to pronounce the name of those birds, but this may be one of my favorite ones here out of this deck. I love this. From the Moon card, they took the Mask, which I think will be amazing to read with again. So here we have the sun, and then we have the sunflower. The sunflowers from the back of the tarot deck. Here we have Judgment, and then we have the Feather of Truth, and we have the feather that is being weighed over here, and then here's all the little souls rising up. And then we have the World card, and we have the Ouroboros here. which is 2 snakes, and then this is 2 snakes to form the Ouroboros. And here we have the Ace of Wands, and you would be able to tell with this too, because we do have the element sign for fire up here. So we have the Ace of Wands, and in the Oracle card we have the City, which is, you can see it way back here in the background, which I think is fascinating as hell, to be honest with you. I just really, really like how she did this. Here we have the 2 of Wands, and then we have the map that she's looking at. And again, you know, we have the 2 here, but then we have the sign for fire here. Here we have the 3 of Wands, and then we have the good view. That's what she's looking at. That is basically her window of the ships coming in. I think the sun's shining a little bit brighter over here than in this card. I don't know how it'll look in the mass market card, but this is the indie version. And here we have the 4 of Wands. And on this one we have the hoopah, but you can see the hands holding on, which I think is very interesting. And I do want to read about that in the book. Here we have the 5 of Wands, and here we have the snarling dog, which makes for an interesting clarifier or an interesting read if you just want to use these cards. You don't have to have this deck. I think you should have this deck, though. I think you should have both decks. Here we have the 6 of Wands, and then we have the victory wreath from the 6 of Wands here. Fantastic. Here we have the 7 of Wands, and here we have the sharpened spear. Oh my God. I really can't wait to read the book on this one. So this one's headed toward the bunny. So this may help with the readings to clarify. We have the 8 of Wands, and then we have the loose arrow. Here we have the 9 of Wands, and then here we have the chewed pencils. This is the 10 of Wands, and over here is the weight. The little birdie's still on there. I don't know if that's a shadow or a hole. You could read it any way you wanted, because that's freedom. Here we have the Page of Wands, and then we have instrument, which I think is like super fantastic, with some fruit, it looks like. Love these colors. And here we have the Knight of Wands, and here we have the salamander, which I think there's some legend about the salamander withstanding the fire. It's like they can go through a fire and not be burned. Anyway, great symbolism. Here we have the Queen of Wands, and here we have the kitty cat. Our kitty cat. Love, love, love. have the King of Wands, and then we have the Bonfire. Wasn't sure what to think about this deck, but the more I thought about it, I thought, man, that is pretty damn smart. And I think I'm really gonna like it. I haven't read with them yet, but I think it's a great idea. Here we have the Ace of Cups, and over here we have the water lilies from the Ace of Cups that are floating there. Here we have the Two of Cups, and then here we have the winged lion. And here we have the Three of Cups, and then we have the raised cups. And we have a big bright sun here. This one is one of my favorites, I think. This is the Four of Cups, and this is the hot drink that's being offered. Oh, I love this one too. Here we have the Five of Cups, and then we have Spilt Cup. I think this was one of the reasons that I wanted to put label it, because this could be an Eight of Cup, because we still have the water sign here, or the water element. So anyway, that's the way my brain thinks. Here we have the Six of Cups, and then we have the potted plant that is being watered here, and this one, and it's coming and dripping down here. This is another one of my favorites. Here we have the Seven of Cups, and over here we have clouds. Kind of intuitive hits coming through for me on this. And here we have the Eight of Cups, and then this is Broken Cup, which I guess it's different from the, let's look at yeah, they're different looking cups. So we have the Eight of Cups and then the Broken Cup. Love this one too. The Nine of Cups with the Potter's Cup. Fantastic. And here we have the Ten of Cups, and here we have the Nest. Here we have the Page of Cups, and then we have the fish that the page is looking at. Here we have two hands in it, and over here versus one. The Knight of Cups with the winged helmet. That's gorgeous. Okay, we have the Queen of Cups with deep water. Okay, over there we have a full moon with the Queen, and here we have the crescent moon. The King of Cups with stormy sea. Ooh. Look at the fishes. Wow. And this one, very interesting. Here we have the Ace of Swords, and over here we have the Cold Cliffs, and that would be the cliffs that the hand is coming out of. Here we have the Two of Swords, and here we have the blindfold. And look, it goes completely across the borders, which is really cool. The blindfold. Oh, wow. Okay, so here we have the Three of Swords, and here we have the pierced heart. Here we have the Four of Swords, and then we have the set aside sword. So I'm guessing that would be the one in her hand. Ooh. Here we have the Five of Swords, and over here we have ill-gotten swords. Is it all the way through the hand? Maybe. Yeah. Wow. Ill-gotten swords. This is an interesting one to me too. This is the Six of Swords, and then we have the following eel. And if you look at this one close, you can see the eel following the boat. And here we have the Seven of Swords. Love, this may be my favorite one in the deck. And then we have the shadow in the window. And you can see the shadow in the cabin in the background. He's running. He's dropping his swords. Okay, and then we have the Eight of Swords, and then we have the restraints. This would be behind her. What do you guys think about this? Okay, and then we have the Nine of Swords, and then we have the Nightmare. And it's like this demonic thing sitting on her chest, which would be, if you've ever had major anxiety or had sleep paralysis, you wake up and your chest feels like there's an elephant sitting on it. So that's like the weight of the world on your chest. That's a powerful image there. And then we have this Ten of Swords. And then I love this. For this one, we have sunrise. This one just looks like it's all over, and there's a rock bottom, and you're just not going to make it. And then we have the sunrise here. You can barely see it coming up, but in this one it comes on up. Love that. I love that. And here we have our Page of Swords, and for that one we have the double-edged sword. And she has pricked her finger and it is bleeding in this one. And we have the Knight of Swords and the bird in flight, which is the bird flying above here, soaring above. And here we have our Queen of Swords, and she is offering her helping hand. You can see she has it open here, but in this she is holding a star, which to me the star is a symbol for healing. And if she offers you a hand, you know, take it. She don't offer it often. Not that queen. And here we have the King of Swords, and over here we have Wheelchair with the Falcon, which I think is great. So over here it's kind of barren where he's sitting. Over here it's like on green grass with big light shining, glowing. Could read that several different ways. Here we have the Ace of Pentacles. And here you can see that that is what this is the picture of, like the gate is open in this beautiful, voluptuous garden. And here we have the Two of Pentacles. And here we have the bobbing boats in the background. And here we have our Three of Pentacles. And here we have the hammer and chisel, which I'm thinking of a lot of different things about this card. Like, are they working alone? Will they not ask for help? Did everybody leave them? I guess this would be a great clarifier with whatever other cards you pulled. So here we have the Four of Pentacles, where he's just holding on really tight. And then here we have the Pentacles just flowing there. It's like Six Pentacles. I'm going to have to look in the book and see if I mislabeled it. That's right. The Four of Pentacles. So now this one would be pretty easy to recognize, as the rest of them would. I think there's some that's not as obvious as others, and that is why I wanted to put a little label on. We have the Five of Pentacles, and over here we have just this snowy, kind of isolated scene. And here we have the Six of Pentacles. So are they tipping the scale there? It's been a rough, hard week. Okay, here we have the Seven of Pentacles, where he's, you know, chilling out, waiting for his fruit of his labor. And then there's the fruit of his labor. So, love that. Here we have the Eight of Pentacles, and then here we have the uncarved pentacle, which would be one of the ones that are on the ground that he hasn't picked up yet. So I'm thinking of all kinds of ways that that would read beautifully too. And here we have the Nine of Pentacles, and here we have the hooded falcon. And here we have our Ten of Pentacles. And here we have paper lanterns. Okay. Here we have the Page of Pentacles with the flowering field. So this would be in the background of our page. You can barely see those little flowers, like right behind her. Right there. And here is our Knight of Pentacles. And here with fertile earth. Here is the Queen of Pentacles with the jackalope, which is sitting up beside there, looking at her. And here is the King of Pentacles with the grapes that made, he's drinking wine. And shuffle to see what we get here. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a look at the guidebook. Oh, okay. I wanted to read about that. Okay, so we have the Feather of Truth. Zoom in. Look. Let's go ahead and look at the guidebook while I've got it here. We have This Might Help Oracle, Isabella Rotman, colored by Addison Duke. Let me zoom out. I zoomed in too quick. So we have our table of contents. We have the introduction, tarot decks, oracle decks, and this oracle deck. How to read, a quick guide to the cards, the majors, the suit of fire, water, air, and earth. Special thanks, bibliography, and resources, and decks I was looking at while I drew This Might Help Oracle deck. So that's pretty fascinating. So, okay, so let's take a look. So we do get, you get spreads that you can just use these cards with. Or it gives you the spiel of as a clarifying deck. Well, you saw the contents. It tells you different ways. On the Judgment card, Anubis, the Egyptian god of the dead, weighs the heart of a recently deceased soul against the feather of the goddess, who embodied the core principle of ethics and morality in most ancient Egypt societies. And her feather stood as the symbol of divine ethical standards. If the deceased heart was lighter than the feather, their soul would ascend into the afterlife. If the soul was heavier, it would be destroyed. The feather represents the moral values or code. It is the standard by which you determine the spectrum of right and wrong. What are your ethical values? How do you determine them? And do you act in accordance with them? And then it also has as a clarifier. So as a clarifier, this would be the feather will fall on a card where actions are or must be made in accordance with your personal moral values. So this is basically moral code. So you get a pretty good, you get a page, you get the little picture up there. You get the number, you get the Strength is the name of the tarot card, and then the Garland is the name. You get 2 paragraphs, and then you get as a clarifier. And let's look at the, it would be the same thing with the minors, so the majors and the minors. So